Alright, we are going to make a Plague Doctor build, all about poisoning and acid and just being a little bit horrible and nasty. So, really simple build to do. I'm going to start with the Wizard. And for your cantrips, you want to take Poison Spray, Bone Chill, and Acid Splash. And most of this build is going to be built around being sneaky, using acid, using poison, and a little bit of necromancy. Not too much, just a little bit. For your first level spells, I would take Ray of Sickness, obviously. I would take Shield for some protection. False Life because it's 7 temporary hit points and a necromancy spell. I would take Long Strider just so we can move further. And Thunder Wave and Magic Missile because, I've said it a lot, some of the best spells in the game. For your ability points, we are going to stick with something that looks like this. 8 in Strength, 14 in Dexterity, 16 in Constitution, 16 in Intelligence, 10 in Wisdom, and 10 in Charisma. For your skill proficiencies, take whichever you like. However, I would recommend taking things that will be based around a Plague Doctor type theme. So, for example, Medicine, Religion, Investigation, that sort of stuff. Okay, Wizard level 2, and this is where we get to pick our specialization. And this is key because we are going with the Conjuration School for one very simple reason you will see later in the build. So for now, we'll take this subclass, and this gives us access to 2 more spells, and we're going to take Chromatic Orb, and we're going to take Disguise Self. Alright, at level 3, we are sticking with Wizard. We take Wizard all the way to level 10. So, level 3, we get access to our second level spells, and for this, I would take Melf's Acid Arrow, and I would take Mirror Image. You could take Mirror Image, or you could take Misty Step. It really depends on which one you prefer to have. We will be taking both, so really just pick whichever one you feel like having more at level 3, unless of course you are respecting with Withers, then it doesn't really matter. Okay, Wizard level 4, this gives us access to another cantrip, so at this point we are going to take Minor Illusion, because the Plague Doctor would be nice and sneaky, and this just helps with that. And we have access to 2 more level 2 spells, so as said before, we're going to take Misty Step, and we're going to take Arcane Lock. Number 1, it's a bit of utility, which helps us out, but if you're a Plague Doctor, thematically you would be locking things behind you so you can't get caught, that sort of stuff. And for your ASI or feat, we're going to be doing a ASI and bump our intelligence up to 18. Okay, Wizard level 5, we get access to our level 3 spells, and for these, Vampiric Touch, so touch an enemy and siphon their life force and regain half as many points. We are going to be in melee for a little bit of this build, especially towards the end, so this can be a really good spell for just boosting your health back up. And we'll be taking Stinking Cloud, because this is phenomenal. Anyone within the cloud cannot take any actions, so if you can trap people in this and they can't do any actions, it's amazing. Okay, Wizard level 6, now this does give us access to Benign Transportation, which means we can swap or teleport to a nearby ally. I never really used this. It could be very useful to you. I'm not saying it won't be. It's just something I've never personally used. And we have access to more spells. So, Glyph of Warding, because it's amazing. Place any glyph on the ground, and when it's triggered, the effect that you've put down there will occur, and you don't even have to let people walk onto it. If you place it on your turn in a group of enemies, at the end of your turn, because there is someone on that glyph, it will trigger. Really good, like AoE damage dealing spell. Another option, Hypnotic Pattern. So hypnotized creatures that can see the pattern cannot attack you. They cannot move or act. Really, really strong. If you don't feel like taking Hypnotic Pattern, then I would take Counterspell. It kind of depends on how you want to use your abilities. If this will not be your main sort of sorcerer, wizard, warlock that can Counterspell, I wouldn't worry too much about taking Counterspell here. Save your spell slots for more damage dealing abilities. Okay, Wizard level 7. Now we have access to 4th level spells. So we're just getting more and more powerful. And first one we're taking is Blight. Now plants take the maximum damage, but even if you do not use this on a plant creature, it can still do 8 to 64 damage. It's a huge amount. And if the target saves, they do still take half the damage. So this can be a really big damage dealing spell for you. We're also going to take Envard's Black Tentacles, kind of thematic with a Plague Doctor and having like ethereal tentacles, I guess. But it's just a really good spell for throwing on the ground and then stopping people being able to run to you. Really, really good spell. One of my favorites in the game. Okay, Wizard level 8. This gives us more access to spells. So for this, I would take Dimension Door, because again, I feel like a Plague Doctor, very sneaky, would run away. I would also take Greater Invisibility to once again tap into that being sneaky and trying to run away. For the ASI, we will stick with that, and we'll take our intelligence up to 20. So now we have the maximum intelligence, which is our spell casting. Now, Wizard level 9 is where we get the biggest and best damage dealing spell, in my opinion, Cloud Kill. Create a large cloud that inflicts 5 to 40 poison damage per turn, and you can move the cloud every turn. It also heavily obscures everything within it. So if you throw this up, enemies hardly can see through it, and you can move it to keep it on top of the enemies as they're going. Really, really, really good spell, and perfect for this build. The other option, because we have one more spell slot, I would take Hold Monster. Paralyze a creature. It cannot move, act, or react. Attacks within 3 meters are always criticals, and this to me just feels akin to a Plague Doctor sort of injecting people with paralysis and being able to torture them, that sort of thing. That's why we're taking Hold Monster. Okay, and Wizard level 10 is what we have been waiting for, because we get Focused Conjuration. Damage taken while you're concentrating on a conjuration spell will not break your concentration, and this is key because Cloud Kill is a conjuration spell. So these two link together so well. We have access to another cantrip, and again, I would just take anything really. Let's just take Dancing Lights. And we have access to 2 more spells. So for this, I would do Seeming. Disguise up to 4 members of your adventuring party. Really good again, because a Plague Doctor would hide themselves, be very sneaky. There is also Dominate Person. So again, this could be akin to being injected with something by the Plague Doctor and not being able to move. I also really like Planar Binding, but again, options are really yours. I personally would take Confusion, and I would take Dominate Person. I feel like these would just be things that a Plague Doctor could do to someone if they were injecting them with all sorts of venoms and toxins and who knows what else. Okay, now level 11 is where we mix things up, and we're actually going to dip into Rogue, because we want Sneak Attack, because we are going to be using Dex-based weapons. We will not be using a staff. Now you might be thinking, but Dengs, that's not very min-maxy. And most of that is, I don't give a fuck. We're going to have fun. We're not going to be boring and try and min-max the build. So Rogue it is. Again, pick any proficiencies you like and pick any expertise you like, but I would go with things like Stealth, Sleight of Hand, those sort of things. And finally, Rogue level 2. This just boosts our Sneak Attack a little bit, but it also allows us to have Cunning Actions, which means we can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, or hide. Really, really good stuff. Okay, so that is our build from 1 to 12. Now, when it comes to equipment, there are 3 things I would have, which unfortunately I cannot put on this build because I don't have access to them. But the first thing would be the Poisoner's Robes. So this is the piece of armor you get from the Face Spider Matriarch in Act 1, and it's just a normal uncommon piece of clothing, but when you deal a spell that deals poison damage, it does an additional 1d4 damage, so it just buffs it up a little bit. Now when it comes to weapons, we are going to be a Plague Doctor, so we are using syringes, because I think this fits very thematically. You could obviously swap this for a scalpel, or there are bone saws, which are strength based unfortunately. For me, keep the syringes, and in Act 2, in the House of Healing, there is an Artificial Leech. Now this is a +1 syringe, which is technically classed as a dagger. This obviously does a little bit more damage than your normal syringes, but it also has Piercing Strike, which can inflict gaping wounds at the end of the turn. It has a chance of doing it basically. So it's just a syringe, but it's a little bit better, and I would throw this on the build personally. Obviously, dye the Poisoner's Robes black, because the Plague Doctor wears long black robes. And for a hood, I would wear the Hood of the Weave. So this is it says it's a helmet, it's just like a hood basically, like a Plague Doctor would wear. However, again, a +2 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Really, really good. For other items, I really like the Divination Cloak. Now, the Divination Cloak, when you poison a foe, you heal yourself for 1d4 hit points, and being a poison-based build, we're going to be poisoning a lot of people. If you do not wish to use this, your other option is the Flesh Melter Cloak. Whenever a creature deals melee damage to the wearer, the creature takes 1 to 4 acid damage. So you can either go with a more DPS cloak or a more healing cloak. Again, giving you these 2 options, take what you'd like. For shoes, I would take the evasive shoes just to boost our armor class up a little bit. I would take the poisonous gloves, so whenever you deal poison damage, the target needs to make a successful Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. And poisoned is really good because what this means is have a disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks, which means not only do they have less chance to hit, but any other abilities, if you need to do some sort of spell or attack, they're going to have disadvantage on that as well. When it comes to rings, the Strange Conduit Ring, while concentrating on a spell, the wearer's weapon attack deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. Now, it's not acid or poison, but it is a buff to your damage, and since we'll be using Cloud Kill a lot, and we cannot break concentration by being attacked on conjuration spells, this will trigger a lot. Pair that with the Caustic Band, and we do an extra 2 acid damage. So now, lovely little syringes do some sort of form of acid or poison damage. Very good. And for a amulet, we would like to take the Necklace of Elemental Augmentation. When your cantrip deals acid damage, add your spellcasting modifier to the damage dealt. Just a nice little boost to your damage there. So if you can swap your robe out for the Poisonous Robes to do an additional 1d4 damage there, throw on your hood, which will boost your save spell DC and spell attack rolls, and throw in the Artificial Leech. Not only are you going to be doing poisoning, you can also cause them to have bleed on them and things like that. A really good way of just chipping away enemies. So with that all in mind, we're going to go find some combat and we'll test this build out. Okay, so here we are in the fight. Now what would be really clever would be we cast like Cloud Kill now. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to trigger the fight by stabbing this gentleman. There we go. And now we need to wait until we get to our turn. Okay, it is now our turn and we are going to begin obviously with Cloud Kill. Now first things first, before you start any of this, make sure you cover your weapons in some sort of poison. So for example, we're going to take Malice. There's a bonus action, and now we still have our main action, and we can throw up a Cloud Kill. So we'll just pop this once I can position it. Unfortunately, we are ensnared, which doesn't help, and there's these stupid little cloaks in the way. Let's just pop it here. There we go. You'll see how much damage it did. 10 to them. So much to them. And it just continuously chips away, and now we can move this if we need to, and that is our turn. So you see another 13 damage. Now they do jump out of it, which is fine because we can move it if need be. And what you notice is Cloud Kill does some insane damage. We've not attacked this guy once, but he's already lost half his health. There you go, another 21 damage. And as you'll see, just from that arrow, we took some damage, but the Cloud Kill is still standing. And we have shield, so we can do that, and we won't take any damage from it. Now, as stated before, we can move the Cloud Kill, but what we can also do is sneak attack. So we have got Malice on our daggers, and we missed somehow. That's amazing. We can hit with our offhand though. There you go, so hit with Malice. Once again, stricken with it, still poisoned. Only did 4 damage, but it is a nice little way of just chipping away, keeping people poisoned. So as you see, we just took a big critical hit, but do need to make your save because the damage you take does not affect this Cloud Kill. Now, we do still have advantage even though we are ensnared somehow. So let's try our sneak attack again. There you go. Again, not a huge amount, but it does mean we can keep on top of the poisons and we can really maneuver these people around the battlefield and just help our characters continuously poison. And you can see another 6, but they've still got Malice. So we're continuously keeping on top of the damage, continuously keeping people poisoned, giving them disadvantage, chipping away at their health, all sorts. And again, more shield, which is going to be the best way for us to not take damage in this. Okay, as stated, we can move the Cloud Kill, so if we were to pop it here, you'll see how much health we just gained from that because we have poisoned people. We just got a little boost to our health there. And these guys are now going to take so much poison damage per turn. For example, this one is poisoned. Now this one unfortunately made the save, but they will have to make it again.
This one is slowing me down.
There you go. See, more poison damage being occurred. And in fact, I think someone just died from being in the poison, which is even better. Now, even though they've moved out of Cloud Kill, we do still have some options. For example, we have Poison Spray, we have Ray of Sickness, we have Acid Splash. So let's go Poison Spray our cantrip. And there you go, you see we re-poison them all over again. And because we did that, we still have the ability to come in here with a offhand. Now, unfortunately, we did miss, but you could do a spell like that and then still stab them afterwards. So if you coat your weapons in poison, you can poison with a spell and then double down on the poison with your syringes. Now, as stated before, we do have more spells, so let's do a Vampiric Touch. Now, this might miss because we do have disadvantage, but yeah, unfortunately it did. So we are still concentrating on the spell, but we did miss because we are poisoned ourselves. Okay, so let's try Vampiric Touch again. Now, we can come in here, Vampiric Touch, do it here, do it at 4th level this time. And there you go, you see we did 5 damage and we healed for 2. So not a huge amount, but it is a nice way of keeping yourself topped up. And this still leaves us the ability, as before, to come in here and try and stab.
Stay focused.
And you see just how well this is working when we poison the foe, because they cannot hit us. The disadvantage on attack rolls is really, really helpful. And again, we'll just shut off now that we don't have disadvantage. Vampiric Touch. And there you go, we did 8 damage this time and healed for 4. And once again, still come in and try and stab. And that still leaves you other options. For example, you could do a Ray of Sickness. So let's say we just shoot it here. And there you go, not only will that poison the foe, but it also does a pretty good amount of damage for a level 2 spell. This allows us to be in a key position for next time if we wanted to be. And you see, this build is really good, even if you can't use Cloud Kill anymore. You still have other abilities. So for example, we could do Blight. We can reach from here, and we did 36 damage. Now, this is a really strong, sneaky poisoner type build. Couple this with the Poison's Robes, as I mentioned, as well as the Hood of the Weave. Throw in the better Syringe, so you do more damage and have more chance to hit. And you really do have a really fun Plague Doctor, Necrotic, Evil-esque build you can do. If you have enjoyed, please drop this video a like. It helps me amazingly. If you're new and you're not subscribed and you'd like to, that'd also be amazing. Let me know in the comments below what you would change about this build, what you'd do differently, what other items you'd add, and hopefully see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.